by Isaac in UPM. And a fun fact about me is that I like broccoli, but not cauliflower. So some of you may think that broccoli and cauliflower are the same thing, but to me, I think that broccoli is much better than cauliflower. Anyway, your second moderator of today is going to be Kahui. So now I'm going to pass the floor to Kahui to introduce herself. Thank you.
And thank you, Justin. And hello, everyone. And I'm Gahui, and I'm also 19 years old, just complete foundation study in UPM. And I'm also the Malaysian youth volunteer for the Eco Project. And the fun fact about me is I think lizards are scary. Oh, not just scary, it's very scary. So thank you, everyone. I will pass back the floor to Justin.
All right. Thank you, Kahui, for introducing yourself. So before we start our session today, let's go through some expectation settings. So firstly, switch on your camera if you do not have any connection issues so that we are able to see your handsome and also cute, pretty faces. Secondly, please mute your mic when you're not speaking so that you do not interrupt the session. Thirdly, be proactive and ask questions. Fourthly, prepare your notebook to jot down any important information that may be conveyed during this session. And fifthly, be active and responsive. So if you have any questions, you may leave them by using the Q&A feature in Google Meet, and we will respond to your questions during the Q&A session later on. So today, here is the agenda. Firstly, we will have a short opening session where we will introduce to you about Isaac, the Eco Project, and also about BBAC. Then we will move on with the main event of today, which is the roundtable talk. Then we're going to have a short 3-minute break before moving on with the Q&A session. And then we're going to have an appreciation session for Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim from BBAC, and also to take a picture with everyone. And finally, we will end the session with an announcement. So, before we start the roundtable talk for today, I would like to ask, how do all of you feel right now? So, as you can see on this slide, I've attached the numbers to different I don't know what you call these cartoons. So you may leave your responses in the chat box according to how you feel right now. 4. So I see that Huyin is very excited. Wow, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim are also very excited. Phoebe is excited. Shahira says that she's good. Serene says that she is good. Singyi also says that she's good. So I see that most of you feel that you're very excited for today's roundtable talk, and some of you feel very good right now. All right. So before moving on further with our session, I would like to ask, do all of you know the purpose of today's webinar? Right? You must know the purpose of the webinar. If not, why did you even join the webinar, right? So actually, the purpose of this webinar today is to educate the public about the plastic waste issues in Malaysia, and also to expose the public to NGOs which are working towards solving plastic waste issues. Yes, so that's the actual purpose of today's webinar. So I hope that everyone will be able to be educated on plastic waste issues and to know more about NGOs working towards solving plastic waste issues by the end of today's webinar. And before we start, another thing that we would like to introduce to you is about Isaac. So actually, this webinar is carried out under the Eco Project, which is carried out by Isaac in UPM. And actually, what Isaac is that Isaac is a non-profit, non-governmental, non-political organization that is run by youth and is based in various big universities in Malaysia. And actually, it's not only in Malaysia, but it's also in other countries as well. Basically, it's an international organization where we often have opportunities to have cultural exchange with other cultures. And the main aim of Isaac is to develop youths, particularly in terms of leadership. And here are some photos that shows the activities that have been done under the Isaac banner. So if any of you are interested, you may join Isaac by registration, by registering under the universities that have the Isaac Club. And how about ECO? ECO is a project under Isaac in UPM, which is responsible for the webinar today. And ECO actually stands for Environment, Cleansing, Habitation, and Oasis. And The ECHO project focuses on the 13th Sustainable Development Goal, which is underlined by the United Nations, or the UN, which is climate action. And it is a 4-week volunteering project carried out by Isaac in UPM in order to increase awareness on climate change and the plastic waste issue, and at the same time providing a platform for youth to contribute their part in the role of safeguarding the environment, including plastic waste reduction and also to tackle the climate change issue. The project also provides a platform for volunteers, also known as MYVs, or Malaysian Youth Volunteers, to facilitate students about current issues such as plastic waste and climate change issues, zero waste concept, and also to empower students to carry out positive actions that is able to positively impact the environment in their life. And here are some of the key activities that have been carried out under the Eco Project carried out by Isaac in UPM. So as you can see from the pictures, we have done cleanup, we have done eco brick making, we have done physical fundraising, we have done school workshops, we have done plastic baskets, and we've also done recycling drives as well. So enough about Isaac and enough about eco. So now we're going to introduce to you about BBAG. So our speakers for today are actually from BBAG. So what exactly is BBAG? BBAG is actually a company which is responsible for creating one of the world's first smart reusable bags that rewards its users each time that they use their reusable bags. So now I will be passing to our speakers for today, which are Mr. Joshua Lim and also Mr. Joel Lim, who are the founders of BBAG, to introduce themselves and talk more about their company, BBAG. So now I will pass the floor to them. Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. You may proceed. Thank you.
Right, thanks Justin for the introduction. So hey everyone, I'm Joshua. So you can take a guess which one is like the left or right one. So the next to me is
Joel, the co-founder also and the COO of BBAG. It's our pleasure today to be here today and to talk to Justin and Kahui about this very important topic.
yes, and if any of you guys are wondering, yes, we are twins.
Yeah.
So yes, not seeing double image. Okay, so we are indeed twins. All right. So basically, Justin already gave like quite a very good introduction, short introduction. So to reintroduce the whole idea again, so B Bank is a social enterprise that has a goal of reducing single-use plastic bag usage by gamifying the use of reusable bags. Yeah. So essentially, why we created this whole thing is because we just wanted to find a way to actually incentivize people to actually reuse their bags more often. Because like in Malaysia, there's like a huge problem. You go see 99, you go see Pasar Malam, nobody brings their bags. So basically, we wanted to create this because we wanted to change this. Yeah. And how we change this is we use technology and also gamification.
Yeah. With our technology, we will turn each reuse into rewards. And I think it's the next slide that we will be talking about. Yeah, this is the part. Yeah, the next slide. Yeah, the next slide would be the whole procedure of how BBAG works. So yes, you can see this is step 1 to step 4, 4 simple steps for how you can turn your reuse into rewards. So how it works is simple. As a BBAG user, you first got to get a BBAG. Okay, you can get a BBAG through online. You can buy it, purchase it online, or through our offline partnering stores. Once you get your own BBAG, every time when you reuse the bag at our partnering stores, we call them rewarding hotspot. It works similar like Pokemon Go gyms. Okay, so once you're in the store, look at the screen there. There's like a phone. You can select the reward that you want. So there's right now there's like we call it B coins, which is our in-app currency, or you can get instant rebates at certain hotspots. So once you select the reward you want, the next thing to do is once you click the button, it will activate the NFC scanner on your phone, and then you just give the bag label there a small tap, because each bag has an NFC chip. So once you do that, boom, validate, then you will be able to collect the reward that you have selected.
Yeah. So essentially, another goal as well for like B Bank is to also gamify the whole retail shopping, because like in Malaysia, it's quite boring. There's not interactive experience, like there's no digitized digital experience. So basically, we also want to like revolutionize and innovate at that area as well. So bring value to both the businesses and also shoppers, because this is one of the key problems with like current existing solutions. is that like current regulations, they're non-value adding. That's why no shoppers want to actually like join this regulation thing. Like they don't support this. No businesses actually want to support because they don't benefit from those. So basically, we created B Bank because we wanted to create a solution that can make tackling plastic pollution beneficial to both the shoppers and also businesses and also the government. So a win-win-win solution. So that's essentially what B Bank is trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, just I saw like a comment. I believe it was by someone. Yeah, I think asking about. She was about to ask whether we were doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no,
yes.
yeah, right.
Yes,
You
we
are
are
right.
doing. Yes. Good eyesight. Right. Yeah. So I guess to the next slide.
Is
Is it done already?
yeah. I think there's one more slide. Is it? Hello, Justin.
Yes. Is it this slide?
Yeah. We're done with this slide. Essentially, is there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, all right. So, uh, thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim, for enlightening us more about BBAG and what BBAG does. I think that is a very cool concept that both of you have introduced, smart reusable bags, which rewards its users every time that they scan their bag. I think a lot of Malaysians probably do not use plastic bags because there is no rewards, right? And this cool concept that both of you have introduced to the world will probably revolutionize the way that Malaysian shops, right? And so, thank you very much once again to Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. And if any of you would like to know more about BBAG, you may either go to their website or scroll their Instagram or even go to their Facebook page. I'm sure that Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim have shared a lot of content on how BBAG works on their social medias. So if any of you would like to know more, just go to their website, Instagram, or Facebook page. All right, so on to the main event for today's session, the roundtable talk on tackling the plastic issue via gamification. So, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, are both of you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Bring
Ready.
it on. Yes.
All right, love the excitement, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim. Thank you very much. So, now we will be proceeding with the roundtable talk on tackling plastic issue via gamification.
So the first question for Mr. Joshua Lee and Mr. Joaling. So actually, BBAG focuses on creating an incentive system for people to use reusable bags, right? But are reusable bags really the best solution towards the plastic waste problem? And why does BBAG focus on reusable bags instead of rather than recycling or repurposing plastic products?
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Right. That's a very good question. So like the whole solution to like the whole plastic problem, definitely there's not one best solution. But the reason why we have like went with like reuse is because we believe that it's like, it's not definitely not the easiest one, but in terms of like the total environmental impact, it's actually the one that will actually not pollute, like like emit additional carbon emissions.
It's like when you like. So I believe there's like two parts to this, right? Recycling, reusing. Like we can think of like recycling is like the at the end part of the whole process, right? So because we consume single-use plastic, that's why we need to recycle. But if today everyone start reuses, which means we do not consume additional single-use plastics, then there won't be a need to recycle anymore in this situation. If if you look at this, if you see how. So I believe like it is also important, like reusing could be seen as also like at the maybe the top at the chain. So you can't always focus on like solving what's keep.
Yeah,
Like,
you have to close the
gotta,
loop. Yeah, close the tap.
close the tap, tackle
Yeah.
the source, and then like you mentioned whether reuse is it that effective? I would say that definitely it is I think safe to say the most easy to actually pull off, because if you think about it, reusing comes down to the individual. All you got to do, like the only thing that's today that
Needs to
preventing,
change.
you need to change the human behavior, to create a habit. Whereas for recycling, you got to create recycling centers, you got to build recycling facilities. So in this sense, reusing is much attainable solution.
Yeah, but actually, like another point, like another way to actually solve this like single-use plastic bag is actually to have plastic alternatives. So people go with like paper bags, biodegradable bags, and those are like those are the solution indeed, but they are not actually like the best, because while they are solving the plastic bag problem, they're actually contributing to other problems as well. So they're emitting as well a lot of carbon emission. They are contributing to another part of like the whole pollution crisis. So like if everyone continues to use them, it's still bad, because we're still going to consume a lot of energy. We're still going to like single use a lot of material, which is it's not the way to go. So the best way, we still believe, it's like reusing what you already have, so you don't have to like generate enough more energy, use more resources to actually produce something that can actually be prevented. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So thank you for Mr. Joshua Lin and Mr. Joling's sharing. Means that you all feel like actually reuse is the top of the chain. Like if everyone start their first step to reuse, there will be no any plastic waste produced, and also no and any waste energy will be produced. Thank you for your sharings.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. So from what I understood, right, it's basically like if we focus more on smart reusable bags, we are able to actually attend to the cause of the world problem, instead of, if we recycle, it's basically like treating the effect. But by treating the cause of the problem, the root of the problem, we don't even have to actually think of solutions for the effect, because we will be able to prevent the effect. It's like treating the patient versus educating the patient in order to prevent them from actually developing the condition, right?
Absolutely right.
Absolutely,
Absolutely
yes.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea, because a lot of companies are focusing on recycling, and yet BBAG is actually focusing on cultivating good habits to consumers, so that we're able to actually prevent the issue instead of treating the issue. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yep, that's good. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. But actually, I'm curious to know, what do both of you think about how plastic waste are managed in Malaysia? Because I've also read up on plastic waste issues before, and there has been, studies that have been done, and it shows that Malaysia isn't doing a very good job at handling plastic waste. In fact, a 2019 study commissioned by the WWF showed that Malaysia ranks second in Asia for annual per capita plastic use. And this means that Malaysia actually outranks many other larger nations, such as China, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam in overall generated waste. So what exactly do both of you think about the plastic waste management in Malaysia?
Okay.
Yeah. You want to go first, or?
Yeah. So I would say that definitely huge room for improvement for Malaysia's waste management, and I think that comes down to, so like a perspective, right? Like usually in like more developed countries, you have recycling bins, you have the 3-color bins, everything. People, when you put it there, the people actually starts recycling, especially in Japan, very high recycling rate. Everyone does it like sweet. But in Malaysia, when you put the 3 bins there, do you know what happens? This is like real life situation. People vandalize the bin, they take the bin home, use it for their own, or just kick it down, break it. So like, even if you put the bins there, no one's gonna to actually use it. So I guess this shows that the education plays a very important part here. Like the government can do a lot of things, like because of this reason, like a lot of governments like just give up, because like no matter how many times they replace the bin, overnight is it got damaged, got suddenly hilang. So I think very important is comes down to the education.
Yeah, and also like in terms of like facility wise, because like even like not all recycling facilities are the same. There are also like higher tech, lower tech, and like the sad truth is, like I think Malaysia's like recycling facility are still not like matching those kind of like overseas, like where they can like really recycle everything to like very good quality recyclables. They can treat a lot of like other waste. In Malaysia, like there's only like selected few like types of plastics that can actually be recycled. So even in terms of like technology development, it's also lacking behind. And when our like the waste we generate is like so much, like basically we can't keep up. So at the end, like the government basically just just give up. like like another insight on like how much like money like actually each local council spend on like just like managing the waste, right? Like 70% of like the tax money our local councils receive actually goes to waste management. So this just goes to see like how much waste Malaysians actually generate, and like they just
It's like two part to it actually. Like the government, I mean, definitely like local councils, of course, also need to ramp up a bit on maybe some initiative. Certain areas are doing really good, like the PJ Council, MPPJ, like they are doing fantastic job. I mean, like I think they're maybe correct me, I don't know whether I'm right, but I think they're the leader in terms of like recycling and then like encouraging sustainable initiatives. And then I think like it's like sort of like two ways the government can today enforce everything, but in order for it to work you need the user to actually know how to use it, which is it comes down to the education part, which also could be facilitated by the government. Maybe during primary school, secondary, they should educate more about such behavior. They should educate more about the proper way of sorting out your waste. Yeah. Yep.
All right, thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim. So basically, what both of you are trying to say is that it all boils down to education, right? If we don't cultivate these good habits and educate them about how to actually segregate their trash from an early age, people won't actually do it. And when they don't do it, we're going to produce so much plastic waste, and it's not going into the right places. So it becomes a major issue. So even if a large amount, like what Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim said, 70% of the taxpayers' money is spent on managing waste. But at the same time, it's still a very large amount, so it's still a very big problem. So to tackle this issue, we have to actually start from educating people, especially from a very young age, like what Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim said, during primary school, during secondary school, so that they're able to know more about plastic waste management and how we can contribute to to tackling this issue.
Yeah.
And just now, yeah, thank you. And just now, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim actually touched a bit on how the government can actually enforce more. They can introduce education at a young age to people in Malaysia so that they know more. Because like in Malaysia, compared to developed countries, even if we put the bins there, they might just vandalize it and all. They may not actually use it, right? So
Yeah.
do you have any other ideas on what the government could actually do in order to make the public aware of this problem, besides just putting it in the syllabus?
Like from a very like selfish standpoint, like maybe just give startups like us grants, then we can create the idea and then make it work, commercialize it. But it's a very selfish point of view. But the government is doing right, they're doing great because there's a organization called Cradle. So they're like investment arm of the government focusing on the startup ecosystem. Their mandate for this current year is on sustainability, circular economy. So they're like slowly already ramping up on supporting such initiatives. So I think that's this is a good sign, and slowly more government funds are also their mandate, their focus is also on circular economy and sustainability. So that is a
one
great thing.
way. I guess another way is to actually also really enforce the policy that they introduce. Like currently everyone knows about like the 20-cent plastic bag charge, right? But the sad truth is like a lot of private mini markets, grocery markets, you see, they do not charge you 20 cent at all. So like there is this policy, but no one is enforcing it. So no one's taking it seriously. So I guess one way, like you have this policy, but you also have to like enforce it. I believe if the government actually like spend more money or spend more time to actually regulate this and proper find these kind of businesses, the business will actually comply, and then like they will also start to feel the pain, like, oh, like I have to now follow the regulation, I need to use biodegradable bags, which is much more expensive than plastic bags. So they would also have like the incentive, okay, the business itself, they want to ask their customers to don't use the single-use bags anymore, use their own bags. Slowly this triggers down to like the shoppers itself, because like how you look at it now, even like shoppers, they don't want to use plastic bags. It is like so hard for them to not use it because like when they order, before they pay, the people already put the things in their plastic bag already. So like even they want to prevent, they can't prevent, which also happened to me like just now only. I say I don't want plastic bag. The moment I turn my bag, then I turn back. Oh, they already put my stuff inside. So it's like very difficult. If, even if like people are like eco conscious. So I guess it's also important that it trickles down from the government to the business as well. Yeah.
Ah, I see. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim. So basically, it's like first of all we have to give funds to startups which are actually focusing on environmental uh, issues, right? Like be back.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's like to enforce the regulations that are already in place, such as the plastic bag, right? It's supposed to be that each shopping mall, each business charges 20 cents for each plastic bag. However, some businesses still don't charge 20 cents, and for a lot of shopping malls, the cashier just puts everything in the plastic bag before we even say whether we want a plastic bag or not. And at the same time, I've also read before that the government actually created an extended producer responsibility scheme, or EPR scheme, right, to demand greater responsibility from producers to improve on the packaging design so that it has uses less material and that it has higher recyclability, and to support so that we're able to, when we collect these packaging, it's easier to recycle them. Is
Yep.
this also being regulated well, or is it like not regulated very well?
I guess we don't have a lot of insights on
Large
this.
companies
Yeah.
are, you will see like large companies products are following the regulation because they are heavily keeping keeping tabs off, because the government actually audit them, they need to submit report. It's the trouble comes down to maybe the smaller businesses. They, first of all, they don't have the money to, like, sometimes when you opt for, like, easily recycled materials, it gets expensive because it's not as massively produced. And then another thing is they want to save costs, right? So they was most likely they are gonna go off for the cheapest, ends up not being the most environmental friendly option. But yeah, I think, yeah, this is the situation.
Yeah, so like EPR is like a part of it. Like big companies they follow it, but like the economy is like, I think a lot, still more than half of the whole economy, all the waste like products, is actually from SMEs. But the SMEs are not required to do any EPR. So it's like, even though it's like a good step. And if you say about like the enforcement, is it like strong? We can't say because like we haven't actually go do some studies about it. But definitely we have seen companies introducing, like Nestle, they have been introducing like their EPR, like their whole thing, the recycling system. They work with the local council at BJ, so they put like recycling back. So you definitely see companies picking up EPR activities, which it's a good start. Yeah, it's a good start, definitely.
Ah, I see. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim. I understand. I guess I can understand because, like, yeah, although the problem comes from SMEs, and but at the same time they lack the funds to do it, right? Because like they have to find a easier way, a cheaper way, so that they can actually sustain their own business. But they have been picking up, so I think that's a very good sign. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you again, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, for answering this question.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
So moving to the next question is more about education. So actually a lot of people say that early education is the way to go if we want everyone to be aware of plastic waste problem in Malaysia and start taking action to tackle this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And also just now, Mr. Joshua Lim and also Mr. Joel Lim got mentioned about early education, about education is very important. So for this kind of issue, so we would like to ask, has PBAC ever had experience engaging with schools or reaching out to schools on environmental issues?
Currently not yet.
Yes, but that's part of the plan. That's definitely part of the plan. So part of the plan is actually like visit primary schools, give talks, host games, like start to educate people, that telling people, saving the environment is like actually also fun. It's also exciting. It's rewarding also as well with B bag.
Yeah, and
So
with like the
yeah.
game feature of B bag, what we're trying to say is, like, kids today could also like take part in the bag. It could be a part of it. they could essentially start playing games when by doing good for the environment, and then get the sense of like being rewarded when they do good. And I think like gamification, like I think the beauty of gamification today is also like sort of like tackles like all ages. Like when Pokemon Go launched, you can see like even kids play it, even a grandma grandpa also plays it, because like so intriguing, like they just play. So I think this is also like what we think that like BBAC could tackle
Amplify
and
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I see. Thank you for Mr. Joshua Ling and Mr. Drawling sharing, because like when I was in primary school, I also didn't have this kind of thoughts about environmental, about plastic waste issue. So I also when I start enter secondary school, and then I still didn't have any sense about this kind of issue. So hope that, and also for now, actually now everyone's like the children in primary school, they already start have their own handphone, so that I think they can start to learn to how to use this kind of app. And when they go out with friends, they can actually use this app instead of just buy the plastic bags
Yeah.
for their stuff.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes.
So, okay, so now we move to the next question. So from what we have heard is, we know that BBAG is trying to turn the usage of reusable bags into a game as a solution towards the plastic waste problem in Malaysia. So if I may ask, why was this approach chosen by BBAG?
Oh.
That's awesome question. So it all comes down to like essentially what like made us wanted to like start this whole thing. So initially we wanted to find a solution to the plastic bag problem. So we wanted to find a way that actually to encourage people to reuse their bags more often, because we know that like using like biodegradable bags, paper bags, like it's not the best solution. So we kept on thinking, how can we actually like motivate more people to start reusing their bags. So that's how we came up with the idea member bags. So what it means is membership cards and reusable bags. So today, everybody, when they go like shopping, like they won't think about bringing their bag, because their bag doesn't like reward them. They don't get anything in return for using their bags. But membership cards, people remember to bring them, because when they bring their cards, they will get discount, they get 10% off, they get this kind of stuff. So people have a conscious effort to actually bring the membership card. So today the idea was to merge both things, so that for you to get a discount, you have to bring your B bag. So when like before people leave their house, before they leave for grocery shopping, it's like, oh, I need to bring my B bag because I can get this discount. I can get the 10%. I can get this 50 cent, 1 ringgit off. So this is like the whole idea. We just wanted to give people like a reason to actually remember their bags before they leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Because like for me when I try to go out, and I will just bring my wallet and my headphone and straight away go out, because like I will feel a bit lazy to find my own grocery bag. But for now, got this kind of app actually will motivate me, because I feel like very attractive if I bring my B bag, and then I can get another reward. So why not I just find my B bag instead of buy the plastic bag without any reward.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, I also think that it's a very creative approach that BBAG has chosen, and I think that a lot of people will probably start using their reusable bags or their own B bags, since that they're going to be able to get rewards and everything. But I must ask, like the whole concept of making it into a game where they are rewarded for using their reusable bags, like they can collect points, the B points, so that people are more attracted and that it's more fun, so that they join in. Sounds very good, sounds great theoretically, but
Hmm.
practically speaking, does it really work in reality? And has BBAX ever faced any challenges in introducing the idea to the world?
Oof. It's a
Yeah.
very sharp to the heart question. Yeah, this is a good question. So like, D-Bag right now isn't what it used to be initially when we launched back in April. So we launched April, which is about 4 months ago. It as also the whole mechanism is technically different, and with the pilot program, we knew. I mean, the response was good, but we knew that it's not gonna work in the long term, because we sort of we realize there's like certain issues in the way how people earn points. There's a limitation in how we can scale, the limitation of the rewards. And right now, what you see here is a result of after analyzing the feedback, and then it's like totally changing it to a whole new mechanism which suits the feedback of our close to 350 pilot users based on their feedback, based on what the market wants, and then this is what we have introduced. So if you ask me whether we're 100% sure it's going to work, definitely not, because like especially in the startup world, when you're creating something so new, there's like is like uncertainty is like 99% of the time. So what you got to do is just, even when you're not ready, you launch it, you see what the people like, remove what they don't like, remain what they like, and improve on what they want.
Yeah, correct. So like the reason we chose gamification is because like that's like out of all the possible ways to change behavior, like punishment and gamification. Like gamification, it's already proven to be like the best way to actually change a behavior in the long term. So that's why we stuck. And if like you want to choose a way to actually change, this would be the best way. That's why this is something that we chose, and we strongly believe that this is definitely the way forward. And throughout the whole pilot program, definitely you can see an increased usage of B bags in like our partnering stores. But like there was like reasons why like some feel like they don't use it is because like they can only earn points at our partnering stores and not like their nearby stores, which is something that we have fixed in our second version. So basically, like the second version, people can earn like bring their bags like maybe like even at their local 99, and they can earn points. So that's how we made it in the second version. So hopefully this can bring like more value, so people actually remember to use their bags more often.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim. So basically, you guys face quite a lot of challenges, and you still might be a bit unsure whether it will 100% work.
Yep.
But both of you are still going to work on it as best as you can. Like what you both said, remove the features that users don't want and add in the features that users want, so that it continues to work and that more and more people will start to join in, especially when version 2 rolls out, right? Since
Yep.
we can go to any store that we want and gain points.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And yeah, and both of you chose this approach due to the fact that it's much better compared to punishment for say, because it's a positive action, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. But another thing to talk about when attracting users is actually, I think, security, right? So, may I ask, how is the security of the BBAG app? And is there a possibility of people hacking into or taking advantage of the reward system of the BBAG app? For example, what if a cashier scans his or her own BBAG every time a customer buy something from my partner store? I think this is actually something that is quite important, because some consumers may be afraid, like maybe their information is leaked, or someone may be actually taking advantage, such as the cashier scanning his or her own bag and getting a lot of points, so they will be able to actually attain the rewards without much effort. So what's both of your take on this? Thank you very much.
Nice. So the data, like the data security, everything, it's like definitely one of the worries that a lot of people have, and it's totally understandable because everyone also cares about the data, and that's why we also care about our users' data. That's why everything is being kept at like a very secured and like cyber secured cloud. So we make sure that no one can easily hack into this kind of database, and it's also not in our interest at all to sell the data to other companies, because that's not what we want. What we want is just to understand like the environmental impact of each B bag. So we do track. We're relying that we say we don't track, but we track for the reason of like displaying all the environmental impacts, and also to get a general understanding of like the general shoppers, so
It's
not
like
individual.
it's essentially to track, because like essentially any app you use today, they need to track the data points in order for the whole app to flow, right? So we need this to know that you're here, you are validated, you're in the store, you scan. That's how the application works. Is so it comes down to how us as the developer of this application, how we handle this data, this database, and you guys can rest assured, anyone or the audience who's worrying, like what Joshua mentioned, not in our interest to exploit the data of our users. And then just now Justine also mentioned about that um about the scanning as a cashier, they can keep scanning, right? So we have introduced like anti-abusive mechanism One is which would be like the time-based scan. So each time you scan, right, you cannot scan it immediately. There's like a time limit location, time-based location. So you can only scan it after 15 minutes. That's like up to us to extend it or whether shorten it. And another thing is also we could say that okay, one day you can only scan like 2 times maximum at this store. So like even as a cashier works there, he or she can't keep scanning it. So yeah, that's like the anti-abusive mechanisms. We have a question here.
Yes. Okay, so I wrote okay, so good question. Why we chose the name B Bank, right? So basically, essentially, we chose the name B Bank because of like two reasons. One is the meaning it has, and also number two is like the how it rhymes. So like going to how it rhymes, we wanted to find a name initially that rhymes with bank. So we tried a few words, and then it's like, oh, B is actually quite rhyming with bank. B Bank. It's easy to remember, easy to pronounce, and it's simple. So that's why we went with B Bank. And then the meaning behind is like B itself stands for a lot of positive meaning. So teamwork, hardworking, working for the environment. So these are all the values that we actually value as well within the company. And also bee itself is quite a very important species in the whole world because they pollinate more than like 70% of our food. So similar to the role they play, we also want to play a similar role where we pollinate the seeds of sustainable shopping in Malaysia and throughout the world. So this is like the meaning behind bees, and the color itself, black and yellow, it's very striking. Like, you see all those kind of warning signs, black and yellow. So when we do this, we know we're launching something new and we're going to catch people's attention. So black and yellow was the one we love, and then it's like, match everything bee bag, and like the bag now it's like black and yellow. Definitely, it's like tells a statement, it's like very eye-catching. So like that's the whole reason why we went like bee bag. Yeah.
It's like for the second question, like a grocery bag. So if you look at single-use plastic waste, like collectively, like the highest portion would be like single-use carrier bags. So and also I would say mainly because of this reason, we
And
chose to start with the
also another reason as well,
Yeah.
like because it's actually one of the ways where it's easier, the most easiest place to start. It's impossible to ask people to today like straight away don't buy any plastic like items because like they have no choice. Like the things they want already come in a plastic form, like single-use plastic bottles. Like it's like some people during some events you have to use it. It's like no choice. But plastic bag, it's like totally a choice. You can live very well without plastic bags. So of course, when we like want to tackle a problem, we first start with the like most possible place to start. That's why we also went with like grocery bags.
So like definitely be bag. Although the name is bag, we could potentially like gotta rename it or something. But at some point in the future, we are gonna expand it to like some other form of reusable products.
Yeah.
So it's not just limited to bags. So any other reusable products you can think of, we could also essentially integrate our technology and then our ecosystem for into that new item.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, for the answers to both questions, one by us, the moderators, and another by who was it? Anonymous. So we don't know who it is, but yeah, by the person in the Q&A feature that asked a question in the Q&A feature. And so rest assured, everyone who is present here today, you can download the BBAG app as it is anti-abusive, and also don't worry about your data. BBAG will protect your data. They won't exploit your data. So everyone, rest assured, you can use the application. And also a very creative idea on given by Mr. Joshua Lim and a very good sharing by Mr. Joshua Lim and also Mr. Joe Lim on their creative idea on how or why they actually named their company as BBAG, right? Okay, so now we're going to move on with the roundtable talk session again.
So the next question for Mr. Joshua Ling and also Mr. Joling. Actually, since just now we keep mentioning about like reusable bags like B bags, plastic bags. So since most of us know that plastic bags, not just only most of us, maybe all of us know that plastic bags are not recyclable. And so in your opinion, why do customers still pay extra money to buy the plastic bags instead of using reusable bags, which they only have to pay for once?
Oh, that's a very good. And sometimes we're also wondering why this is the case.
Okay, like
Yeah.
first of all, a reality check in this statement here, right? You would expect like a lot of people actually pay for the 20 cents, but I would, based on our experience, maybe close to 80%, they don't even they get plastic bag, they don't pay for it. So like the store owners, they actually swallow, they swallow the cost, and then they provide it as like their service, like convenience to the shoppers. So this is a actual fact. And do you know why like vendors, like business owners don't charge? Is because like this is real life situation. The moment they charge 20 cents for the bags, their customers actually complain to them. And some even say like, wow, you're so like, like greed, like what's the stingy, 20 cents you also want to charge me, I better go to like the next door. So like actually shoppers, like good deal of shoppers, they are actually sensitive about the 20 cents. But the fact that you know business owner choose to not pay, not to charge them, that's the reason why, like, it's not getting nowhere, this thing.
But actually, a thing to add to Joel's point is actually people like even 99. So I think need to correct some of what you also say as well. So actually 99, if you go look at 99, they actually do charge 20 cents.
Yeah, so it's not all. I
Yeah.
mentioned like 80%.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So like you go to 99, people still charge, and you can also see that around 70%, 80% people, they also don't bring a bag. So now I think number one is like they already forget their bags, so they have no choice because it's not their their like habit to actually bring a bag. So when they arrive there, and then when they end, I was like, oh, I don't have any bag. So they have no choice but to actually pay for the bags. And simply some people, they just don't mind absorbing. Like we have interviewed people, it's like, oh, it's 20 cents only, like why should I care? So it's like definitely also wondering and why people they don't care. But when you look at states like Penang, they some places they charge 1 ringgit or like 50 cents. This is like substantially like higher than here. You can see like the behavior actually starts to change a bit. So like I guess like one way is like having just the punishment is like one, but you can also have another solution, which is the rewarding part. So like people, there's like double incentive. You don't bring your bags, you need to pay the penalty. You bring your bags, you get rewarded. So people can choose, and there's like double the effect. So definitely, I guess the two reasons, like some people, they just don't mind absorbing 20 cents because to them it's like quite low, and some is like they just totally forget about it, so they have no choice but to pay.
Yeah, I see. Because like some of the stores you have just only use 20 cents, you can buy a plastic bag, and it's very convenient. So actually for me, sometimes I also forget to bring my own bag. But when I go out and then I remember that, oh, cannot I if I didn't bring my own bag, I have to charge another 1 ringgit. I mean 1 ringgit and 20 cents compare, I think I will just go back to my home and then take my grocery bag and then go back to the shop, because like 1 ringgit is, for some people it's like quite high, because like 1 ringgit just only buy for one plastic bag is, I don't think that doesn't work for it. Okay. So thank you again for Mr. Joshua and Mr. Joel sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. I think what both of you said is probably very accurate, and everyone probably agrees with you as well. There has to be like two things, right? One to actually prevent, and one to punish those that actually still do this thing, which is to buy the plastic bags. So by introducing B-bag, people will probably be more attracted to bring their own smart reusable bags rather than paying for say 20 cents in other states in order to get a plastic bag, since that they're going to be rewarded for that. Um, yeah, and actually I wanted to add on for your sharing earlier. I think that what both of you said earlier is quite true. I thought about it just now, which is the part where you said that you focus on reusable bags rather than plastic, like reusable bottles, because it's hard to actually live a zero waste lifestyle, like completely zero plastic waste, because at some point we're going to have to use plastics. And I think that's quite true, because in recent years I've seen how people have moved on from the uh, zero waste concept and moved on more to sustainable lifestyle, right? Yeah. And so moving on, I would like to ask, has B-bag ever engage or let's say partner up with any environmental NGOs or companies that are in the environmental field, whether it's for education or business or anything? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Number one is Isaac, like you guys.
Yeah.
That's
Right, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the first one. And then the second one, we also like collaborating with Zero Waste Malaysia. I believe everyone here, I think will know about Zero Waste Malaysia.
So like they are one of the, I think the largest NGO, like, you know, regarding like the zero waste kind of stuff.
So our like values also quite in line. They're also more towards like prevention. They're not towards like recycling because it's like just a
It's like actually the whole thing. Like,
Yeah, like
zero is
exactly.
actually the whole thing is like they also facilitate like recycling points where you can
yes,
check
yes.
out at their zero waste map at their website and they do a very good job at the education part as well. You guys can search it up. It's called Trashpedia, launched by Zero Waste Malaysia. Like inside, you go there. It's like a Wikipedia of like all those items where non-recycled items are also there. So gives you like a good knowledge on what items can be recycled, what materials are they made out of, and
How you can recycle them. And then they after once you know that, they will provide you like locations or like centers where you can do this, where you can recycle them. Yeah. So I think they've done a really good job here.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, for the answer. And I'm sure that both of you will probably partner up with even more companies in the future, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim for the sharing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Our pleasure.
with that question asked and answered by both our speakers today, we will be concluding the roundtable talk session for today. So sorry for the other audience that we have to stop the roundtable talk here, but don't worry, we're going to have another short Q&A session later on. So if you have any questions, leave them in the Q&A leave them in the Google Meet Q&A feature, and we will answer your questions later on. So thank you very much, everyone. And now we're going to have a short break before proceeding with the Q&A session. And thank you again to Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim for attending today's roundtable talk on tackling the plastic issue via gamification. So now we're going to have a 3-minute break. So everyone can lighten yourselves up, and we will see you at 8:56. Thank you very much, and yeah, bye. See you later. For 8:56, so we will be proceeding with our Q&A session. So before we start, I would like to ask, is Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim ready?
Yes, already.
All right, nice. Thank you, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim. So I'll be reading out the questions. So, okay, so a question from an anonymous user. Good evening, Mr. Joshua and Mr. Joel. May I know what exactly motivates both of you to stay in this industry?
Nice question. So I think everything boils down to like life purpose. So we wanted to live a life where we can like the things we do actually benefit the society. We're gonna live a life that is fulfilling. We can contribute to the society, and before when we leave the earth, we wanna make sure that we leave a positive impact. Back in our home, back in the world, back in planet Earth. So that's what motivates us to stay in this industry of sustainability and social entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's like because when you work on when we work on BBAG, we gotta say at some point of time, especially when you go into investments and stuff, like for this what we're trying to might not be the most especially very high return compared to really commercialized enterprises, right? And then sometimes it is realistic that we do get down sometimes, but then every time we just go back to ask ourselves the reason why we started this in the first place was to create a value, was to make sure that if we succeed, BBAC succeed, it's a success for the whole environment, for the whole society. Because if BBAC succeeds, it means that we have successfully tackled plastic pollution. And then this doesn't just benefit the environment, but also for the next generation to come. like our future, our family in the future, to you guys as well. Like, we could make a change here and then, prevent any harm. Yeah, so
That's why
This
that what
question.
motivates us.
yeah. So we can see the question here as well. Should we just like answer them, like, or
Sure. If that's better for both of you, if you both feel more comfortable with that, yeah, sure.
okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the next question is, does B-Bag have any plans to venture into other products besides reusable bags? Yes. Yes, we definitely will expand the technology to other forms of reusables as well. So like reusable containers, reusable cups. So that's those are also like quite a very substantial like plays a big role in like the plastic pollution stuff. So definitely with our whole concept, like we also want to encourage people to bring their own containers, bring their own cups when they go bungkus their makan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
The whole lifestyle.
yes.
It's like the whole lifestyle. It's to turn it into like a circular lifestyle, circular economy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So everyone
Yeah.
starts reusing, and yeah.
Yes, so definitely part of the plan. Okay, the next. May I know what are the most memorable moments for the both of you in B-Bag? Oh, most memorable.
Most memorable. Most memorable.
I think the one that is most funny one was actually our first time trying to approach a vendor. So basically, that was like, we developed everything, in house. Like we have the app, we have everything. So now the job is to actually go out and speak to your first vendor, and we have no experience in sales whatsoever. And like the first one we chose, like it could have been like actually one out of all the bunch of people we chose, like the first one we approached was actually like one of the scariest person actually we end up speaking to. So like that person is like with tats, tattoos. Like we entered the shop, we didn't know that that it's like a lady. We didn't know that lady was the boss. It's like she's like kind of gangster, so we thought she's like the customer. So like, can we like speak to the person in charge? And then suddenly this lady is like with tattoo, it's like she cut short hair, then dye hair. It's like, so what do you want? So like, wow, oh my god, it's like, and then first time, we like got very nervous. It's like, oh my god,
We prepared like the script, everything.
Yeah.
Just throw out the window. Everything.
Yeah,
you
starter,
just go went blank.
blank. Yeah, that's like, she treats us like kids. It's like, so it's like quite an interesting experience. Like after you go through that, then like the rest becomes like, actually not that scary.
Yeah, it's like
So I think good and bad, but I guess that's quite memorable. Like until now, I think that's like, wow, it's like crazy.
out of everyone.
Yeah,
that's
out of everyone.
like had to be our first experience, but it's a good experience.
And before we even step into like, go and approach the first one, we were like staying in the car for like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Like, should we go? When should we go? Like discuss like, I think we should, memorize this a bit more. It's like very, very not natural, very not confident. So like quite funny. We hope that we had a video, but we don't have a video of that. It will probably be very funny. Yeah. So I think that's all the most memorable moments.
Yeah, definitely can remember.
Yeah.
Thanks for like this is like really like great question, man. Like
Yeah. That's awesome.
Really got us thinking. Never actually thought about this before.
Yeah. Amazing idea, Mr. Joshua, Mr. Joel. May I ask about the material of the B-Bag? Okay. So we currently have 3 lineups of the bag. So the yellow bag you see here, it's the bag, it's a material similar to IKEA bags. So it's called polypropylene PP woven. So this is one type of the bag. Another 2 types is one, it's like a, do I have it here? Okay, never mind, it's not with me today. So it's another one, it's made out of recycled plastic bottles. So this is like made out of like 30 to 40% recycled PP. But the other 2 lineups is made out of completely recycled plastic bottles, so RPET. And then this one looks like the grocery bag. The second one looks like the tote bag you can bring to. Yeah.
It feels like it, looks like it, but it's made out of recycled plastic bottles.
Yeah, so that's like for like students or like
All
employees,
day
they
bag,
want to go, bring to work. And then the third one's like foldable bags. So it's like very thin, durable, and it's like for people that already have a handbag, or like people like men, they just want to be discreet, they want to bring a bag around. So yeah. So those are the 3 types of lineups.
Yeah. And also like apologize, we forgot to mention like
Right now, you guys might not be able to find the bags, everything, because we are still. Actually, it's still not officially launched yet for 2.0. We are expecting to launch this November. So what you see in the website and our social media are on BBAG 1.0. So what you see here is 2.0.
Yes, correct.
And but you guys, we appreciate you guys that can follow. So whenever we update anything, you guys will be the first to know.
Yes. All right. So the question. Good evening, Mr. Joshua. I'm Joel Lim. Because it's my first time listening to VBank, may I know where can I use VBank? Like any shopping mall or shops? Oh, okay, nice. So, like our current stage right now, because we haven't launched like VBank 2.0, it's like a very pilot program. So it's very closed loop. It's like beta testers and also partners that are willing to test this out. So everything is currently only in Klang Valley. So we currently have like a handful of like 13 places where you can actually use the current version of the first version of bank and you can earn points. So those are like normally like private owned like mini markets or also zero waste stores. We have a couple of them. Yeah, so those are the places that you can.
Basic Zero Waste Store.
Yeah, basic zero is actually our partner as well. So they're one of the sponsors and support.
For you guys, right?
Yeah, for Isaac.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
And
so
they're
those,
also
those are
our
the places.
partner.
You can actually see them in the app. So we have a map. You can like zoom out and then you can see all the pins. Those are all our partners, basically.
But for BBack 2.0, essentially, like 99, all those like, grocery stores, mainstream grocery stores, you could earn rewards there. You could literally bring the BBack, go to the store, open up the app, and then scan. Because how it works in the second version is like Pokemon Go, right? Everything is like we fetch the whole data from Google. So like overnight, if we have the capacity, if we have the money to expand, we can also make literally every store into a hotspot. It's just whether that's we have the capacity to do that. So there's essentially no limitation. But if you have a favorite store, if you have a store you really like and it's not yet a hotspot, you can give us a feedback on social media, message us, and then we will make it a rewarding hotspot for you.
Yes. Right. So the last one, do we get any special features as early users? Oh, okay. So we will have a pre-order campaign coming up, and most likely you're gonna be able to get a discount, like for the pre-orders.
Yeah.
Special features currently, like the bags would be just the bags, and because the app also nothing like special unique to each shopper, so probably won't have. But in the future, we'll definitely introduce like customization, so you can customize your bag to your name or to any message you would like to like implement or colors. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, if you were to be like the first 100, we would always know who are the first 100, and you could get like a surprise deal or like a surprise gift in the sometime in the future. So definitely always good to be the first,
Yeah.
the first batch.
Yes. Now you say it, I think we might
Consider,
consider
yes. We might think about like some special launching, right? For the
Yeah.
first batch. Yes. Right. So next, I download the app just now. Haha. May I have a further explanation on how the app works? Like while I enter a store. Ah, okay.
All right. So good question. So like the QR code, everything. So now everything you see in the current version, it's all BBank 1.0. So it's not gonna be the version you will see in like 2 months time. 2 months time later, everything will be different. So how it works currently, maybe you can explain.
Oh yeah. So how it works right now is like a membership card. You bring first when you get a B bag, there's a tag, round tag there. I think we can show that. So in the app, you on the top you will see a link B tag button, right? So if you look at the B bag here, there's behind this pin, this tag here, there's a 6-digit number where you key in and then you link. So it's like you activate the B tag. Yeah, if you look at it, there's a 6-digit pin. So you can get the B bags at our partnering stores in the location, right? But some already ran out of stock. So you gotta, if you want one, you could message us, drop us a message at our social media. We try to meet up and give you one. And then once you link that, whenever you reuse the bag at our partnering hotspots, the counter will then open up the business app to scan your bag. So it's like very manual and it's very like how
Two-way. Yeah, we need
two-ways.
2 ways to actually make everything work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for this new version, how it works is like that. Same thing, the bag is gonna have the NFC chip. So the tag just is actually an NFC chip. But instead of like a pin, it's actually insert under the bag label. So if you look at the third picture here, third frame, you see there's like a yellow bag label there, right? Underneath that label is actually an NFC chip. So it's like coded by us. And then as a user, every time you reuse the B bag at our partnering stores, the rewarding hotspot, you just got to bring out the app and then click the yellow button, which is we call it scan button. Select the reward you want, which is limited to that store. And then once the moment you select the reward, you just gotta scan the bag. So it's like a tap, like how you do PayWave. So you just like touch. from the back of your phone. The moment you do that, we validate, you will straight away earn the rewards that you have selected. So there's like a question is, if today you're at home, you won't be able to you won't be able to click any reward button. You will only be able to click the reward button once you're within the range in the store. So that's how we ensure that no one abuses the whole point mechanism. Sorry, did we explain it clearly, or is there like any part you wish to also have clarification on? No? Okay.
All right. So, does anyone else have any other questions? Because if not, we will be concluding the Q&A session. So, a count of 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So, no questions left. So, it's time to conclude the Q&A session and move on to the appreciation session. So, I would like to say a very big thank you from all of us here from Eco Project under Isaac in UPM to Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim for attending the roundtable talk on tackling the plastic waste issue via gamification talk today. Thank you very much for all the sharing, all the information, all the knowledge that both of you have shared to all of us here today. Thank you very much, and I hope that all of you, both of you will be able to secure any partnership that you want to secure, any goals that you want to accomplish, and all the best. Good luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you very much once again to Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joel Lim for attending the roundtable talk today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having
having
us. It's a pleasure.
All
Yeah,
right, no
so
problem. So before we end this session, let's all take a photo with our special guest today. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mei for taking the photo. Let me just reshare the slide. Okay. All right, there we go. So before we end our session for today, here's a very short announcement from the Ego team from Isaac in UPM. All right, so actually what we're doing now is that we're having a project named Aqua Colomentum. And basically what it is that it is a fundraising campaign to help Orang Asli communities in Malaysia that lack access to clean water. And in fact, if you check the Malaysia's Department of Statistics, they actually released a statement that 53% of Orang Asli communities do not have access to clean water. So from this campaign, we aim to raise enough money to donate 12 water filtration systems to Orang Asli communities in collaboration with Affinity Social Enterprise. And every 125 ringgit collected can be used to buy one water filtration system. So if any of you are interested to help the orang asli communities that do not have clean water, then you may donate to our fundraiser so that we are able to use the money to buy 12 water filtration systems to orang asli communities. And we will actually be sending the link to the fundraiser in the chat box so that all of you may know more about the campaign and donate if you are interested to donate. All right, so Kahui, could you send the link in the chat box? Okay, so Kahui has sent the link in the chat box. So if any of you are interested to know more about our fundraising campaign and would like to donate to our fundraising campaign, you may do so by clicking on the link that has been sent in the chat box. And for all of you information, for everyone who donates 10 ringgit and above, you will actually receive an e-certificate from us in September. So if any of you are interested to donate, please do so by 31st of August. All right, so thank you very much. That is all for today's session. So before you leave, I would like to ask whether all of you are able to fill in the feedback form, which we have prepared, so that we're able to actually improve on any future events that we may hold under the eco project carried out by Isaac in UPM. So on the slide that I'm sharing, I've actually attached the QR code for the feedback form, and Kawi will also be sending in the link to the feedback form in the chat box. So I hope that everyone who is present here today is able to fill in the feedback form so that we are able to get your feedback on how we can improve to the session for our future events. And once again, thank you to Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim for being here with us today. All right. So, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, do you have any last words for our guests, for our audience?
I guess like every small action counts. Even like sometimes you might think like you just doing this, like what kind of impact can I make? I like just do it. Like a principle, do the best you can do. So don't care about just do the best you can do. And I believe by doing that, everyone does that. The whole world will be in a much better place as well. Yeah.
And also like maybe a quote to everyone can bring back home is like, the biggest threat to our planet today is the belief that someone else is going to save it. So the moment you think that someone else is going to do the job, that's the end already.
Because if everyone thinks this way, no one's gonna take action, right? So like this, add on like to what Joshua mentioned, starts with yourself and be the change you hope for. So,
and I think it's currently now like the whole sustainability side. It's also a very interesting space to be in as well. Like currently, a lot of countries, a lot of organizations, they're putting a lot of emphasis onto sustainability. So like I think when is the best time to actually get into this field? I believe the right time is now. So if you have any interest, you want to start like a project, a business, a social enterprise, or you don't get into this industry, this field of career, like go for it, because like it's not only a good career to be in, but it's also a meaningful one, and it's also like a purposeful one. So yeah, I guess that's what we like to share as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, for your words of encouragement. Hopefully, everyone here today may be eco-heroes in the future. Be like Mr. Joshua Lim and Mr. Joe Lim, who sacrificed their time in order to actually attend our talk and also to be the heroes that they want to be, to change the world, to make it more sustainable so that it's actually habitable in the future. If not, what's going to happen to our world, right? Although doing something like this might not be very financially beneficial, but at the same time you have to think that it's a very meaningful career because you're able to actually create real change, real impact on the world and its environment so that future generations to come can live peacefully and harmoniously in this world, on this world. Yes.
Yes.
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
Yes. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, so thank you very much once again to Mr. Joel Lim and Joshua Lim. And now we will have about 12 minutes for all of you to actually fill in the feedback form. So yeah, don't forget to fill in the feedback form. And if you're done, you can always type done in the chat box. Thank you very much. And goodbye, everyone. Good
Yeah.
night, and hope all of you have a good one. Thank you.
Okay, thanks
All
for
right,
having
thanks
us,
for
guys.
having
Good
us,
night.
everyone. All right, have a nice rest and enjoy the weekend. Yeah. All right, bye bye.